What's up, everybody? This is Killer Arcade Games. Today I'm going to be talking about console multi-cartridge games, or multi-cart games, or multi-carts. We'll call them that. Whatever. These are the four that I'm currently using for my console gaming station. I thought I'd just kind of go over them really quickly with you guys. This is the Sega Genesis one. It plugs into your average Sega Genesis. It works fine. It does have a, where is it? Oh, an SD card in it. Good news about this one is it came ready to go out of the box, preloaded, and it had, pretty much everything I could imagine I wanted to play on it. We'll set that one aside really quickly as we go to this one. This is a doo-doo brown or bronze. This is supposed to be a gold cartridge that I got from AliExpress. Unfortunately, it showed up with this weird bronze look, and it doesn't look anything like the picture. Also, what does this say? It's like upside down. 852 in one. Weird. It does have that many games, but what's odd, it has 852 games. It does not have Super Mario Brothers 3. I don't understand this. If we're working on, let's be honest, if they're selling pirated stuff, put the good stuff on it. This is by far the most disappointing one I have. As far as I can tell, there is no SD card anywhere to be found to add games to it. This one flat out kind of sucks. But we'll talk more about it in just a second. Just do a quick overview here. This one is the Super Cartridge, SFC, SNES. I don't know. It's basically an EverDrive ripoff I got on AliExpress as well. Has a SD card here and a USB port, which is good because when I put this in for the first time, nothing came up on the screen, no games. It had nothing playable. I put the SD card in the computer and magically there were tons of games. For some reason it couldn't see it. I ended up having to wipe out this entire SD card and reformat it, put the games back on it into folders containing less than 100 games per folder, so I did them alphabetical and just broke it up. Very frustrating, but it was only like 20-something bucks on AliExpress. I guess you get what you pay for, and this was a frustration, but it's good now that I've fixed it at least. Here we have the best of the bunch, actually, the SummerCart 64. This was the first one I bought, so it set the bar kind of high for me. Too bad the rest of them weren't quite as good, but what are you going to do? SD card in here, plugs into your regular Nintendo 64, no mod required. It boots up into a games list. It was great. My only complaint is, there's also a USB-C port, I believe. My only complaint was, yes, it had tons of games, but it had tons of duplicates of games, and that was a bit of an issue for me. I went in and cleaned out tons of the duplicates, like Donkey Kong 64, revision A, B, European version, all these different versions, stuff I don't really care about. This button on the back, by the way, is supposedly so you could play 64 DD games, and you press that to switch discs. I haven't really messed with that very much because I never played a single 64 DD game in my life. So to go back and give you guys a little bit more detail on these, you basically on all of them get a very basic screen with a list of games to play. You'll have varying degrees of load times across all of them. And what I mean by load times is, I guess when you are picking your game, it loads it from, where is it? I don't know. Oh yeah, the SD card here. It must load it to some chip inside of here, so the console will read it like a real game. There is no emulation in this case. You're just moving ROMs around, moving them into, I guess, the temporary memory that the console reads as if it were a real cartridge. The Genesis one, the SNES one are both pretty slow. I will be honest, especially if your game is larger. I think the max size for any game on these cartridges is 4 megabytes, which seems like that should take no time to transfer. For some reason, if you get a 4 megabyte one, I'm going to put it over the video here somewhere. If you do put a 4 megabyte game on one of these, you're going to wait probably close to a minute in some cases for your game to be ready to play. But that's still better than having to go hunt around in your drawer or in your closet for your old cartridges, or go hunt eBay to buy an actual game cartridge, which I do still have some of, but it was cool to have the option to play tons of games. I can go back and try stuff I never thought I might like, but at least I can give it a try. You guys can recommend games for me to play, and I can do it all right here without having to buy cartridges and all that. The only thing that I could say that's good about the NES cartridge is this one loads games instantly. You press the button and they're ready to play. Maybe that is because there is no SD card. Maybe it's somehow just all loaded into some big ROM on here, and it just plays, no problem. That is the one perk. Otherwise, no Super Mario Brothers 3 or 2 for that matter. I don't know what's going on with this cartridge, but at least it loads quickly. Now this one is kind of the best of all worlds. This is the most expensive one, by the way. I think I paid 50 bucks for it on AliExpress. But this one will load even large games like 64 megabyte games from the SD card to the cartridge in just a matter of like 5 seconds. So smaller games load nearly instantly. This one also has a little bit better of a user interface. You at least get a box art, which I did not have to add. Somehow they just came preloaded. So that was awesome. But overall, that's my 4 cartridge-based mods. I'm gonna go show you how I'm working with the ones that are disc-based systems. So we're gonna start with the Dreamcast. As you know, it's a disc-based system, or it was. I actually removed it. Sorry, it's a little tight in here. I removed the GD-ROM drive and put in the GDEMU mod, I guess. Wasn't very difficult, no soldering required. There's an SD card that goes down in the slot here that I preloaded with backups of games that I own that are inside of here. That's how that works. And then to switch discs or to just go back and try a different game, there's a button right here. I'd say the installation was difficult just because the instructions that it came with were not very great. And I was a little disappointed in them as I had to take it apart about 3 times to make sure I finally got everything together properly. But it does work. So I'm going to turn this on and show you how it works right now. All right, let's turn on the Dreamcast. It boots a lot quieter because you don't have that noisy disk drive running anymore, which is quite nice. That was the worst thing about the Dreamcast. The disk drive was always bzz, 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 back and forth. And it honestly woke me up one time because my friend was staying with me and he got up early and started playing games, and I woke up to the sound of a Dreamcast going zzz, 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 back and forth. So anyway, here is the load screen. Let me try to make sure that brightness is good. Apparently if you buy a preloaded or pre-made SD card from somebody who does this a lot, this load time is not nearly as long. What it's doing now is the console essentially thinks it's running a game, which is this screen, the menu of all the games that you put on here. I did not put these disc arts in, or disc art things on here. I think it found them on its own. I honestly don't know how this happened. There are some odd things that happen though, like Choo Choo Rocket. I don't know what the heck that game is. That is Hydro Thunder, and if I click it, it's going to launch Hydro Thunder, so it's kind of bizarre. It changed it to Choo Choo Rocket. There is a way to fix it using a piece of software, but I have not done that at the moment. And right here is unsupported disc. This is 4 of those, and if you could guess what it is, what game had 4 discs? Shenmue. Funny enough, I have the disc for Shenmue. I don't have all of them, but the somebody, I guess the ESA or whatever, the Electronic Software Association, scrubbed the internet of this file that would actually work in this GDEMU thing. So I'm kind of not able to play it right now. Like, I don't even think it works if I hit it. The problem is there's plenty of files out there. They're not the format I need. I need a .cdi file, a single file with everything in it, or I need a .gdi file, same thing, everything in one. I could not find it. I literally looked everywhere. They did a really good job scouring the internet and removing it. Here's another weird anomaly. Soldier of Fortune here, Sonic Adventure. It is Soldier of Fortune. Bizarre. I don't know what's up with all that. But I will launch a game really quickly. In fact, let's do good old Choo Choo Rocket, aka Hydro Thunder. And what it does is the console, I guess, essentially reboots. Sorry about the weird CRT issue there. It reboots. It launches as if it's running a disc, but it's dead quiet. And it actually loads faster, which is awesome, because disc-based games, you know, you get kind of bored with the loading. But let's see how quickly we get moving here. I'm trying not to make this video super long, but I just wanted to show you. There is a small problem, by the way. That increased load time, or decreased load time, there you go. It does cause problems with audio on certain games, I've noticed.
Choose your track.
It's like certain games are trying to play the track it's supposed to be playing, the audio track, and you're blowing through so quickly that it's not able to actually play it. So,
Choose your button.
I've noticed audio gets a little out of sync, but it's not something that's like a deal breaker. Check out how fast this loads right here, though. There we go. On disc, it probably still would have been loading, and on here, I'm ready to race and good to go. So, I'd say the pros for this mod is the fact that, of course, you can play any game you can get your hands on digitally. The cons are, I still found the installation process ridiculously difficult. They included very little actual documentation with it from Amazon. I will link to the one I bought. Ultimately, I got it figured out. It's not rocket science or anything, but just know that you might struggle a little bit. I'm going to demonstrate real quick. I'm going to press the button inside here. That's going to go back, and we're going to go basically reboot, and it's going to go back to the game menu. So ultimately, I'd say if you really, really want to do this mod, just know you're going to struggle. just a little bit. It's not crazy. Honestly, if you've got the spare cash to spend, buy one of those pre-made SD cards. It loads a heck of a lot faster from what I hear, and you don't have to struggle with finding all the games yourself. So here's the PlayStation 2 I bought. I had to buy another one. I just sold mine probably a year before I decided to do all this, but whatever. That's how it always goes, right? There is a hacked memory card that went inside of here that set up a software mod that allowed me to run games from a hard drive that is installed back here using a generic, actually, HDD adapter. That's because it's a SATA drive, or SATA, however you want to say it, not an IDE, so you can get that on Amazon really cheap. Inside here, you're not going to really be able to see it, but inside here is the hard drive, and that allows me to just run games from there. The installation of this was easy. Putting the hard drive in it is no problem. The software installation portion kind of sucked, if I'm being honest. It was tough. It looked super easy on the videos that I watched, but it really was not anywhere near that easy. It took hours to get right, and finally I got it going just by having to make my own fixes or learn how to do it myself without any help online. I just kind of stumbled through it and figured it out. Don't ask me how I did it because I honestly don't remember. But now that it's up and running, it's great. Games load much faster from the hard drive than they would from the disk, and I can still use the disk drive. It's still there. It's still functional. You just put a disk in and it runs normally. I am going to turn it on real quick just to show you the interface and kind of show you what you're in for if you decide to do this mod yourself. I'm going to boot up the PlayStation 2 right now so you can see how long it takes to get to the actual menu system. Oh, I'm not on the right input. There we go. So this is the usual boot that you see with every PlayStation 2. This is where it normally either goes into a game or into that browser menu where you can look at your SD card, or I'm sorry, your save card. This instead is loading FreeMcBoot. This is the hacked OS, I guess, if you want to call it that. And it loads this menu that I wish was not this long and ridiculous, but it is. Again, similar to the Dreamcast mod, I struggled with getting this to actually install. I guess I have a newer version of it than the videos I watched. I couldn't find a video for that version, and it just wasn't happening, and I was getting very frustrated. But eventually I figured it out myself, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I just wish there was a video for it. I still don't remember exactly what I did to make it work, but I finally got it working, so let's hope it continues to work. Here we can go to Open PS2 Loader, which is where you actually pick your game you want to play that's on the hard drive, or if you just want to play a disc, you just drop it in. It'll either automatically launch or you can go to Launch Disc. But let's press Open PS2 Loader so you can see how long this takes to load, which is longer than I like. There we go. The OPL is popping up. It's almost like running another piece of software, I guess, on the console. And here you go. Here's your list of games. Yeah, here we go. Every game is here that I wanted, at least. There's probably a few I forgot about, but I'll eventually get to them. For a quick example, let's load this one, which I have been playing on stream, doing the Conquest. Let's do Deception. You can see I press the button there. It loads really, really quickly once you get to this point. And the games actually load a heck of a lot faster also because they're coming off a hard drive instead of, seeking back and forth on a disk trying to get everything it needs. Okay, we've got to load from the memory card. I'll get through this real quick and you can see how fast we get moving. I'll even load into Conquest mode just so you can see, because I do recall that being a pretty long load time. I'm going to skip that, skip that, skip that. All right, I got to put in my password. Oh. And here we go, Conquest. It loads so much faster than I remember it loading from a disc. There's the bar. Boom, and it's already in gameplay. So that's one huge perk to this. The only downsides is I think the installation process kind of sucked. To get back and pick more games, by the way, it's going to be hard to see my hands. We press the 4 shoulder buttons, or the 2 shoulder and the triggers, and start and select at once. It will boot back to, very slowly, but it'll boot back to the FreeMcBoot thing. And then you go through the Open PS2 Loader. Again, it's a little slow. It's still, again, faster probably and more convenient than swapping discs or finding your disc, swapping your disc, and waiting for all the load times. I think ultimately you come out on top time-wise, but see, here we go. Back to the menu, back to Open PS2 Loader, and wait for that to load. So that's just an example. There's really nothing I can link to help you with this. If you want to do something like this, look up FreeMcBoot. Amazon does sell the hacked memory card that'll get you started, but I can tell you the setup process was much bigger of a pain than I expected. Well, that's what I wanted to show you guys, to kind of go over these multi-game cartridges, just so you guys know what I'm working with here. Ultimately, I'm happy with them. They are good. I am still disappointed I didn't get Super Mario Bros. 3 with the NES cartridge. I do have a remedy for that. I have Mario All-Stars on the SNES cartridge, and it does save games, which is awesome. I kind of glossed over that too. It seems like all the SNES games that need a save work really, really well, and they actually save. Like, I've played Donkey Kong Country, it saves to the cartridge. It's still there when I go back and load that ROM. Same thing with the Nintendo 64. I played Super Mario 64. It has saved my game every time and not lost anything. Some games that seem to save to the memory pack on the 64 don't seem to work. I don't know what it is. I'll save to the memory pack. Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe my memory pack is bad. It's the same one I've had since I was a little kid, so I might buy a new one and see if that fixes that. Well, hopefully this answered any questions you might have about these. If you have more questions that I didn't answer, leave them in the comments. I'll gladly answer them to the best of my ability. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think of the multi-game cartridges. Yes, I would ultimately prefer having the real thing and a wall of cartridges so I can just go pick any game I'd like, but this is a really good way to play it. I'm not emulating them. It's getting to play the actual ROM, just a ton of ROMs in one cartridge, which is really nice. It seems to play, they all seem to play perfectly like a real cartridge would, but you guys can let me know if you've had a different experience in the comments. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.